Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. Today we're going to be talking about and finding out about Living History Day down at the Ten Broeck Mansion. And we have with us the Executive Director of the Ten Broeck Mansion, Wendy Burch, and also Carol Ann Margolis, who is the Educational Coordinator for the Albany Heritage Area Visitor Center. So welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Now the Living History Day is an annual event. And it's this year's theme is called An Afternoon Among the Stars of History. So before we talk about all the events, I should say this is going to be Sunday, May 6th from 12 to 4. All these events we're going to be talking about will be going on more or less simultaneously. You can walk around the grounds. Everything's free. The Ten Broeck Mansion is on what street again?
It's at 9 Ten Broeck Place
9
in
Ten
Albany.
Broeck Place, okay. So that's next Sunday, May 6th. So why don't we talk about first, how did you come up with this year's theme, An Afternoon Among the Stars of History?
Well, we realized it was an important year for a lot of organizations, their anniversary year, including the Albany County Historical Association 70th anniversary. And then we realized that the Doyle Observatory, which features stars and solar observing and star observing, it was an anniversary year for them too, 1852. So that made them, I think, 160 years. And we said this would be good.
The Doyle Observatory over Schenectady actually started in Albany, right?
Absolutely, right in that Arbor Hill section of Albany where the Ten Broeck is.
And it's also, I guess I'll say, it's the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Girl Scouts, the 300th anniversary of St. Peter's Episcopal Church, which is right down the street from you guys.
And of the War of 1812.
It's the War of 1812, 100th, and it's the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. Well, I think that word is sesquicentennial, is that right? I don't know.
I think so.
Well, there's a lot of events going on, and again, they're going to be going on simultaneously all day, 12 to 4, Sunday, May 6th. So why don't we start with, you're going to have a lot of reenactors from different, I don't know, Wendy, you want to talk about maybe the different kinds you got from different wars are represented?
Yeah, well, Living History Day is sort of our opening day for the season. And so it's, as you said, it's a free event. And what we do is we invite a whole bunch of reenactors and other participants to just come and set up and have a lot of hands-on exhibits and demonstrations that they put together. So, we're going to have representatives from the Civil War, War of 1812, World War II. In fact, we're going to have a Tuskegee Airman here this year, which will be a new addition. I believe Abraham Lincoln is going to be putting in an appearance.
Did last year.
Yes, as far as I know, as what I heard today, he's definitely coming.
So the reenactors show their equipment, talk about it, and people can go up and talk to them. Do they act in character?
They do act in character, yeah. And then we've got a lot of things like a sheep shear, and he does it in an old-fashioned way, and he kind of demonstrates how that was done. We've got some ladies coming to do different types of needlework from the Embroidery Guild. We've got an archaeology dig going on the grounds, and last year we did that, and they did find a lot of artifacts, and the kids have a great time doing that.
All right, now so Carol, you were mentioning before we started about the sheep shearer. Why don't you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I've never seen such a good sheep shearer. He, of course, brings the sheep, and he is a person that explains exactly how to successfully shear a sheep, and he has a way, of course, he has electric shears, but then he has the participants actually crank up an old-fashioned, I don't know how you describe it, it's their own arm power that is generating the power to do a old-fashioned shears. So you see, and everybody, the more they crank, the faster the sheep gets sheared.
And is that something probably the kids really like?
Oh, they loved it. We saw several kids got their hands. They brought several sheep, so it wasn't just a single sheep. But he is just filled with information and wool. It was amazing how much wool he got from those sheep.
Well, I should say, you know, we're going to talk about all these events. You're encouraging. It's a family-friendly event. You're gonna. It sounds like a lot of these events we're going to be talking about, kids will really like. So, I don't know what. I have a whole list here. I'll just go down. We'll talk about some of these. Now, here's another one kids probably like. You're going to have pony rides. Is that a?
That's right. Yep. Well, and the Ponies for Hire also bring with them some other cute little animals that you can pet. Sometimes it's chickens and chicks. Sometimes it's little baby lambs. You never know. Yeah.
So now, Carol, you're part of the gardening component of this. Tell us, you're going to be doing a seed packaging. Tell us what that is.
Well, historically, it was the Shakers who lived very close to this area that invented the seed package, the paper seed package, and we're going to have people make a paper seed package and do a cover for it, depending on what type of plant. I think we're going to use sunflower seed, and they'll make a packet, and these could be given to your mother for Mother's Day or to friends, and we're going to be planting herb seeds and learning about the heritage of gardening, because a lot of people, when they came to Albany and other places, they brought their traditions, including their types of seeds.
You mean the seed packaging, like it's underway for?
Yeah, like you go, and nowadays you get it at the big box stores.
Yeah.
People go in the garden section and they get a Burpee or one Park Seed Company. But this is something that the Shakers actually invented and had an incredible garden catalog, and it's going to be fun, and we have incredible gardens at the
Well, I was going to say,
mansion.
part of the mansions, one of the big attractions is the gardens. There's several of them. Are there going to be garden tours?
Absolutely.
I mean, other than just walking around yourself, they're going to give
Right.
tours and explaining everything.
Yeah, we'll have some of our master gardeners, our volunteer master gardeners from the Cornell Cooperative Extension will be on hand to answer any questions about the gardens and show people around. And of course, the house will be open as well with some of our well-trained volunteer docents to be able to answer questions.
All right, now here's another thing you can see that day. The New York Capital District chapter of the Embroiderers Guild of America. Now, who are they? I mean, I think I know what they're going to probably be doing. Why don't you talk a little bit about who they are and what they're going to do?
I know that they're going to have at least 3 representatives coming to do different types of needlework and embroidery, and it's very impressive what they do.
Now, is it from the time, like the mansion was, back in the 1700s, or is it just?
I can't answer that question. I'm not sure, but I think I don't know how many advances have been made in needlework and things over the years. So I'm sure that they'll be able to do some of the more old-fashioned things.
I also see on the list here, which is very long. There's a lot going on that day. The Dutch Settlers Society. Now, I don't know. One of you guys want to say what they're going to be up to that day? Or
Usually they dress up. These are descendants of the original Dutch settlers to the area, and they're proud of their heritage. So they come and they kind of can give you information about some of our original settlers to the area.
Okay, now Wendy. Now this is you might hold the record for being on our TV station. This is like your 5th time here.
She's a celebrity.
The last time you were here, we talked to Don Hyman, who's a historical reenactor. He does Frederick Douglass and all this, but I did not know he's going to be there. I don't know if this is something new for Don, but tell us about his latest historical reenacting, what he's going to be doing that day.
Sure. I was talking to him about Living History Day, and I know what a great reenactor he is, and I thought he'd like to come as one of his previous characters, and he decided he'd like to interpret Tuskegee Airmen. Okay. So he's preparing for that role, and he'll be here.
And again, he will be in character.
Correct. Yes.
Now you also have another historical reenactor. I don't know, Carol. I think you said you've known him or seen him. Clifford Mealy. He's a slave reenactor. Now
Well, he's just great. Last year he had some photographs, and he was talking about other things last year, but this is something that he was willing to do, and I think he's going to be excellent. He's very knowledgeable, and I don't know if Wendy knows a little bit more than I do.
He is a professional photographer, and he has exhibited his work at the mansion. He actually takes photographs at reenactments, so that's what he had displayed at the mansion. So it's almost like you're seeing a photograph of something that happened. a couple
Now, when
of
the
years ago.
mansion was back in the 1700s and all that, in 1800s, were there slaves there? Did they have slaves? The
Yes,
family that-
Abraham ten Broeck did own slaves.
And, okay. Now, I see on your list, on our list here, I'm not sure, is the mansion known for possibly having a ghost or something? Because I see one of your groups here is the Tri-City Paranormal, right, the Tri-City New York Paranormal Society. Now, what?
They are a great group of volunteers. They have been volunteering with us now for a couple of years, and kind of on the side, they have conducted investigations in the mansion. They kind of use us now, I think, as sort of their headquarters for meetings and things. And, you know, I have seen some of the evidence that they've produced, and it
From the mansion or from their other?
from the
Okay.
mansion, it's very convincing evidence. I can't explain it, as I'll just say that. And they actually, one of the things they're planning on doing is they're going to do a ghost investigation that's open to the public in the fall. And one of the things they were hoping to do at Living History Day, because what they'll do is they'll set up, and anyone who wants to see the evidence that they've collected at the ten Broeck Mansion can go up and take a look at that. We're actually going to put them up in the attic on the third floor because they like it up there.
They were there last year,
Yeah,
and it was
they-
fantastic.
yeah.
You know, you come up the stairs,
Okay,
and
so-
it was just cool.
Yeah, but
Well-
they're going to raffle off a chance to actually
Okay.
be there for this investigation that they're doing.
Now,
so.
I know the state capitol is known for
Yeah.
its ghosts, but I didn't know the ten Broeck Mansion.
I don't think we would say we were known for our
Okay.
ghosts.
No, no.
but-
And you said they have some evidence.
They do,
of-
yeah.
of-
They
of
slept
just-
overnight. Well, they didn't sleep, but some of us were sleeping. They did right before the haunted mansion that weekend.
They've stayed over a few times.
So they found evidence of some possible paranormal activity. Is that what you're saying?
they get some doors slamming, which when I'm in the mansion the doors
Okay.
don't slam, and they also have gotten some EVPs, electronic voice phenomena,
Okay.
that really sounds very convincing.
The
So
only thing
they'll be there.
Okay. Well, the only thing I think about that is, how come those things only happen at night? Don't ghosts come out?
They
during
have
the
an
day?
explanation for that. You'll have to come and.
Okay. Now, I also, you mentioned the Dudley Observatory.
Right.
The big observatory of Schenectady actually started in Albany, but they're going to be having a little setup for, so I want to talk about what they're going to be.
Right, they're going to be doing solar observing. Now, it's not safe. Normally, we discourage anybody, young or old, to go out and try to stare at the sun. But recently, there's been a lot of solar activity, and one of the things that Dudley's going to do is allow you safely to observe the sun, assuming that it's
Yes.
not a rainy or cloudy day, but they'll be in the garden and they'll have solar observers and possibly solar telescope that you can do it safely. Plus, they're going to be giving information at night. They have local star parties, and they set up for free, and you can look through their telescopes to see some of the great things in the sky, which this is Global Astronomy Week right now.
Okay.
And one of the things they're looking for is Leo the Lion. Throughout the world, everybody is looking for Leo the Lion,
Okay.
and Mars, the planet, is right now right in the middle of Leo.
Yeah, I have a little telescope. And I saw Mars was out the other night, but I have looked through the solar telescope.
Right.
And it's like looking at the sun, of course, there's a filter, so you're not going to.
Right.
But it is very interesting to look at the sun and during the day through a telescope, because
Yeah.
you don't usually think of looking through a telescope during the day, but this is quite interesting.
Well, Galileo, I have to point out another anniversary. It's been 400 years since Galileo discovered
Okay.
sunspots. And one of the things when we were looking at the Dudley and their anniversary was realizing that Galileo
Okay.
was with a not a very sophisticated telescope, and luckily he didn't destroy his eyesight. He actually was the one to see some of these solar storms and, as we call them, sunspots. And they've been in the news quite a bit lately.
Okay, that's not on my list. I was using years ending in 12. There's a lot of things happening.
Yeah, cool things.
So now the other thing was the archaeology excavation. There's always some ongoing stuff down there. We'll talk about that a little bit later about the camp. But you're saying there's during the Living History Day, Sunday, May 6th, noon to 4. Tell us a little bit what they're going to be doing that day as far as the archaeology.
Yeah, sure. Hartgen Archaeology Associates actually they come in. They run our camp, but they come in and they'll set up a small area on the grounds where they'll actually conduct sort of a mini dig, I guess you could say. And they invite any of the visitors, especially children, to come and actually assist with the dig and sort of learn a little bit about some of the archaeological techniques. And then, and they find artifacts, even during Living History Day, which really was only for a few hours. They did find some interesting
So even though they do this you're saying now in they're still finding little items?
They sure are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. You're going to have live music that day. I don't know, Rural Felicity. I've never heard of them. Who are they?
They're a group that dresses in 18th century garb,
Oh, okay.
and
So
they
they-
play some of the music of that time period.
Do they have 18th century instruments?
They're probably reproductions would be my
Oh,
guess.
okay. Now I see you're saying you're going to have some vendors there too?
Yeah, I think there might only be one listed on the flyer right now. Elderberry Mary will be there selling jams and jellies, but we've got some other vendors that we expect lined up, and certainly, we'll be selling food too.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot going on that day. Sunday, May 6th, noon to 4. It sounds like a family-friendly event. You can walk around. There's tours and do all this. I don't know. Have we left out anything?
I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk as long as you're here, and this is in May. Later on in the summer, after Living History Day, you have a few events. I'll mention. Maybe you can talk about it a little bit. First is, and I think Carol, you may know more about this one. May 19th is Heritage Weekend, when all the local heritage places are going to be involved doing events. Why don't you tell us about that? Is it 19th and 20th, you said?
Yes, it's 19th and 20th, and it's free. It's going to be up and down the Hudson River Valley.
All right, so
that
many
you can-
organizations are involved,
Organizations,
okay.
but locally, they're really in for a treat. There will be events happening at Schuyler Mansion,
Okay.
Cralo State Historic Site, Historic Cherry Hill, the Tenbrook Mansion. We'll have something down at the Albany Heritage Area Visitor Center. There are going to be different events. Some are musical, some are historical. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for someone to say, hey, let's go down for the weekend and check all these things out, which will be different than what's happening
Yeah.
on Living History Day. So I really promote people coming to town, and there's still, hopefully there'll be some beautiful flowers in the park, and they can go from one site to another. And I know the concerts, I think the Schuyler Mansion is having concerts in the afternoon on that date, but they certainly could check.
Well, this is the week after the Tulip Festival, so I'm sure the tulips will still be up. Now, just where is the Albany Area Heritage Visitor Center? I think, is it down at the Corning Preserve?
It's kind of like the corner of Clinton and Broadway.
Oh, okay.
It's across from the Federal Building, about a block from the
All right.
Palace Theater. So it's right there in the heart of downtown Albany. And we're open 7 days a week. It's a great place, not just for visitors from out of the country, but for local people to come down. We
Okay.
have events, and we have a planetarium there too, if you have never checked that out, and can see
Okay, I
the stars
didn't know that.
inside when there's no rain.
I know one thing. I know he's part of you. Peter Hess, who's been here a couple times. Albany is a very historical. It's endless, the story or the history that's in our area. And now at the mansion this is in June, Tuesday, June 19th, at 6 p.m. at the Tenbrook Mansion. Bruce, I think it's Eelman, he's a history professor at Siena. He's going to be speaking on Ellsworth's Avengers, which is a story of the 44th New York Regiment during the Civil War. And this is a speaker in the humanities event. We've had many speakers in our library from the New York Council on the Humanities on this speakers program. They're all always excellent. Do you know Bruce at all? Do you know what he's?
I don't have a whole lot of details on it other than what's on the flyer, but I do know that particular regiment was one of the first where instead of just taking everybody from just one particular community and forming a unit, they kind of just invited people from all over New York State to join the regiment. And
That's what it said. Yeah, I have a little information here. Usually regiments in the Civil War were from one town or area, and this is the New York 44th was from all over the state. So that should be pretty interesting. This is the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. And also, and I remember we talked about this last year, this is an annual event they have down at the Tenbrook Mansion for kids from, I'm not sure, what grade is it again? Wendy?
Children entering 6th through 10th grade.
6th through 10th grade. It's called Archaeology Field School, July 9th through the 13th, 8 in the morning till 3 p.m. And this is where kids can learn all about archaeology. And why don't you talk about this? They work on the house right down the street from...
Right. We've been doing this now for 12 or 13 years, our Archaeology Camp. And basically the way it works is, the kids come in, they're taught by professional archaeologists from Hartgen. They learn the techniques of archaeology, and they talk, they study a little bit about the history of the area, and then they actually go out and excavate a site. And for the last 2 years, we're going to do this again this year, the actual digging will take place about a block up from the Tenbrook Mansion at the Stephen and Harriet Myers house, which was part of the Underground Railroad. So they'll dig there, they find the artifacts, they come back, they clean them, they catalog them, and then they put them on exhibit.
So they learn how a professional archaeologist. Now, do you know this is the 3rd year they're going to be at the house? It was part of the Underground Railroad. Do you know what they've uncovered the last 2 years?
They found, I know last year they found like an old coin that was about 150 years old. They found a piece of like a doll, like a porcelain doll. They found that. They're always finding, pieces of pottery and porcelain and, old nails and things like that the archaeologists are able to date. They go by layer. So you start out and you're finding like a Coke can from 20 years ago, and then you go further down, and so the further down you go, the older obviously the artifacts are.
Now, is the Myers house, is that a historical house too?
It's owned by the Underground Railroad project of the Capital Region, and someday soon it's actually going to be a museum. I think they're still raising the money to really stabilize it and get it ready for that. So.
And Paul and Mary Liz Stewart have really been so active in getting this house ready to be a museum and a place where people can learn about the Underground Railroad. And it's what an experience for students, though, to get to dig in the backyard. I mean, this is anybody that has any interest in archaeology. This is one of the best opportunities that I can think of. We're real hands-on, working with professional archaeologists. They work with the State Museum, and so it isn't a camp like, we're just going to be playing around. I'm going to plant some artifacts. You're really going to be able to learn the correct tools and correct techniques. So Hartgen, very generous with their talents, and I think it's just one of the best things that you could find for your child to do in the summer if they have an interest.
Now, what's Hartgen? What is that?
They're an archaeology firm that has done some of the major digs in the area, and usually when a building is about to be built here in Albany, before they go ahead and dig up and do the construction, they have to find out what history is buried. So they bring in archaeologists, and Hartgen Archaeology Associates is just one of the, archaeologists that could come in, but they have done many of the local digs, and they're real experts, and they have volunteered, I know, at the Visitor Center. They've given us a lot of resources to use on loan, so when I'm teaching about archaeology, I can have real artifacts, and we share those. We actually have some discovery trunks that go out to schools with real artifacts that teachers who can't get to a dig site can use, and it's thanks to their willingness.
I know, was it a couple of years ago, they were digging a new building or a road or something. They found, was it a slave graveyard?
Yeah,
or something?
yeah, I think they did.
And it was it like right in the middle of the street or something?
Right.
Or?
Something like that. I know that they did the reconstruction of the faces and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
It.
All right, well, so that's July 9th through 13th, 8 in the morning, 3 p.m. It's $250 a week, but it says here there are scholarships available. There's information about everything we've talked about today. It's tenbrookmansion.org.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's correct.
June 19th, Tuesday night, the lecture about the New York 44th. I know that the Civil War Roundtable, they're going to be down there on Living History Day, right?
Correct.
They're
Yes,
probably
they will.
involved in this. That group meets at our library sometimes. They've had some speakers here. So the things we talked about at the beginning, I'll just go over one more time. Sunday, May 6th, noon to 4, all the events we talked about earlier are all going to be going on simultaneously. It's a family event. It's the week before the Tulip Festival, so people, you won't miss that too. And that's all down at the Tenbrook Mansion. So
It's free, and we have parking on site, so you don't have to be scrambling around down in the city looking for parking.
And so that, hopefully you'll have good weather.
Yes,
Yes,
our
please,
fingers are
we
crossed.
hope so. And there is another place for them to go, not just us. On May 6th, the historic Cherry Hill is going to be having a War of 1812. They're going to be focused on
Okay.
that. And so, again, you can do two things.
Go to
I
both.
don't know, is that within walking distance of the Tenbrook?
Not quite. I mean,
don't know where that-
you could do it, but I think most people probably would
Okay.
want to get in the car.
Yeah.
Now, are they going to be part of that other thing you were talking about?
Heritage
yeah.
Weekend, I believe.
Heritage
so.
Weekend, okay.
Everybody.
But all the main events here, Sunday, May 6th, noon to 4, Tenbrook Mansion, and we will see you next time on Getting to Know You.